And we're
Oh,
back.
and we're back live. Okay. Season one, episode two, Tales of the Empire. And I've got a lot of questions. We're like 2 minutes in, and I got a lot of questions. And so, what I'm going to say first off, before I forget it, is that what I really love, again, being a classic Star Wars guy, what I really love about shows like this is seeing the subtleties and the sometimes it's the bureaucracy, and in this case it was somebody talking about the cost of building something, which is very like uh,
Imperialistic
no, it's very normal. It's very like
business.
well, it's just human, right? Like governments and businesses and all that stuff, and businesses pitch governments on projects and defense spending and all this stuff.
Mhm.
But I've never heard that in the Star Wars and often in kind of like Star Trek and Star Wars, there's no often no brands, no companies, no stuff like that, or there wasn't orig in the big story. Anyways, that's one thing. Let's start off with who the heck are we look who like
What time
who
pay?
well, what time period and who's in charge, republics,
Okay.
empires, all that stuff.
So in episode two, the one we're watching currently, it's seems to be set. It has to be set after the Fall of the Jedi. So after the third movie.
Yeah.
Um, some time has passed, obviously, because as you saw, there was those four Republic ships coming out, and then there was the big, massive imp
Oh, okay. So they were two, I see. So it's the transition from one to the other.
So let's I'll just talk quickly about
Yeah.
that. In the show that I previously watched, we I didn't do on this one, but the one I watched, The Bad Batch, the final episode had these Republic ships coming in, obviously taken over by the Imperials because the Imperial, and then in the middle of them, like the last one to come out because of dramatics, there was that ship, the new Imperial line ship. So, seeing as they're still using Republic era ships, that means that this is probably around that time where they're just beginning to phase out these kinds of like Republic ships and to start instead of like,
Building the new stuff.
yeah, because they're not technically at war anymore. Now they're just using the pulling the resources together to make these big, scary ships, basically, versus like the more smaller, more versatile almost ships of the Republic.
Okay. So not to get too in the weeds here, but for those of us who haven't, especially the early phases, anything before
Right.
the original episode four there movie, um, like what is the transition between Republic and like
So the Republic
and Empire?
So basically, when Palpatine takes over, the wrinkly guy, he's killed his competitors. He's defeated the Jedi. The Republic just defeated the Separatists, who he made happen, and because of it, both all sides are really tired. They don't want a war again. So, seeing as he just took over, he doesn't need an army. He doesn't need clones who honestly are worth basically the cost of a star destroyer and can take planets better than, destroying them. He doesn't need clones because who's he going to fight now? All he needs are expendable stormtroopers, or at this time currently TK troopers. He doesn't need, a useful army because he's not fighting on. He needs a scary army that can, force a planet into submission and give up its resources without an actual fight being occurring.
And sorry, and that all happens in the Clone Wars?
Kind of. We see how
But it doesn't happen in episode 3.
it doesn't happen all at once. What we're being shown basically is the progression from the Republic that, was taken over by the Palpatine to what will become the Empire.
Okay.
So,
Gotcha.
so the slow transition of Republic to Empire. I really love
Okay.
it.
It's very interesting. And you think so we just watched
The
there's
first episode.
right, but on the screen now,
Mhm.
we'll do a quick screen grab here. On the screen now is
Morgan Elsbeth.
Morgan Elsbeth, who so is this before we saw her fighting last time? Is this a flashback or
No, so that was probably the youngest we've ever seen her as. She was on Dathomir during what was basically the culling of the Night Sisters.
okay,
by
so that there's a big time difference between
yeah.
here.
So that was probably between two, three, two, three. Yeah, probably between 2, 3, and 4. And this here right now is after is like before 4. This is like the 4th movie, like the original movie. This here is basically them transitioning into the Empire we know.
Right. But there's a huge, I mean, it's interesting because there's been a bunch of movies that have filled that gap, right? Between
Yeah.
3 and 4, the Rebel,
Mhm.
the
Solo,
and
Andor.
like
Mhm.
there's a lot going on in
Yeah.
that stuff. Okay. So, but I just mean the important thing is that like there's been a big gap between episode 1 and episode 2 here,
Yeah.
right? Time wise.
Here's one interesting thing, honestly. The movies that we've watched, those are basically when the Empire's still younger, in the weeds, kind of, but has become the Empire with the
Right.
big shift. This, the Clone Wars, Bad Batch, and now this show, this is
Like
seeing
the birth of the Empire.
Yeah, this is the transition,
Right.
which is amazing to me.
Right.
Seeing what they become.
And so she's working for somebody who makes
These ships.
And maybe
wants to make these ships.
Wants to make these ships or the radar, the shields and all that.
Mhm.
Who are the guys in the room? Is that the Empire?
So,
That's the
yes.
beginnings of the Empire.
So
okay.
The interesting thing is she's trying to sell a useful ship that can, like, defeat, like, is going into battle and can come out of it. What they want though is cheap, replaceable ships, easy to produce, easy to mass produce.
And they're more interested in the raw materials that
Yeah.
she's just
that she's
yeah.
just served,
Yeah.
made them aware
Okay.
of. So
Okay.
we'll talk again maybe
Yes.
after this episode.
Exactly.